Hello guys, I'm finally able to make another video after this crazy week. Last one was 7 days ago, and since then quite a lot has happened. Sadly, I have a lot of other stuff to do, so also in the next weeks I don't know how many videos I can make. It's a bit sad because there's a lot going on and I would want to make more videos, but too much stuff to do. But yeah, interesting stuff happening with Trump and the tariffs, and especially what happened to the market since then. If you remember, exactly 1 week ago, the video was about the key level we had and that we shouldn't really break it down. So let's see what happens. It was actually just, I posted it I think the night before all of the crazy price moves. So let's see what happened after the video. So basically we talked about this daily and monthly low for the SPY, for the stock market, and the importance that we really hold this low and don't break down, because if we break down then we failed the daily cycle and also probably the weekly cycle. And what happened, I think, which day was it? I think Wednesday, during the overnight market, the tariffs I think got announced, and then we saw a massive crazy move down, drop of 12%, and then with the pause announcement of 90-day tariffs pause, pump perfectly back up to this level and a lot of volatility. And I think the last video I told you, yeah, keep this level in mind. We had it marked for quite a long time, and also it would be a great time to get some long positions, but to use stop losses in this area. And if you had this area in mind and protected your downside risk, then I think it was really good to keep this one in mind. So what does this mean? So generally it's not a good look, because we broke the daily and weekly cycle low. So in theory that means that the next weekly cycle low would be lower than this low. So we can mark this off. One daily cycle should be 40 days for the SPY, for the stock market, and one weekly cycle should be 160 days. So 4 daily cycles, 4 times 40, so 160 days. That would bring us all the way here to the 30th of October for the weekly cycle low. So in theory, so it's not, the price is not important, just the timing right now. In theory, we should see the next weekly cycle low around the end of October, because we failed this weekly cycle low. But there's a few things that I noticed. A little bit of hopium, that we might even have just this move down, like the tariff panic, and then some good moves up or even higher highs coming. And that's one reason that could be the case, is that we had a really short first daily cycle low here with only 24 days. So in total this one to here is not 160 days but 151 days. And if we use the same metrics like the daily cycle low with 10% variance, then we see that here this low was on day 168. So in timing, if you only look at the monthly time frame, then this would still be in the 10% tolerance from the 160 days. So maybe this was just a late daily and weekly cycle low, but these daily cycles all fit pretty good, so not that sure about this. But if you divide the stock market, the SPY, with the money supply, so the M2 money supply, then you get this like a divided chart, and we can see that it's extremely similar to back in the day before the dot-com bubble, before 2000. So we moved up and then had a sharp move down before getting a few higher highs. So the stock market divided by the money supply. And the structure right now is extremely similar, almost 1-to-1. We had the exact same level here, and back in the day we dropped down 24%, and now with the tariff crash it was 22%, so almost the same. And I overlaid this pattern here, and as you can see with this bounce, we already bounced up quite a bit. So maybe that could be a hint that we have one more higher high, a little bit more of blow off top for the next weeks and months before then crashing down. So these two things could mean maybe this is not a bear market, maybe it has some more bullish momentum going, but we still broke down here, and generally the theory says we were likely lower. But something that could happen is that we bounce up, even get a higher high, and then also get a lower low here in the macro. But to get back here, I think what is most likely to happen is that we chop around a little bit, maybe go to this resistance line and chop until the next daily cycle low. So this should be around the 9th of May. Also the 7th of May, 2 days before, is the FOMC meeting. So they will be, so we will get some news about the interest rates, if they will cut it. And I think if they cut it, then we can see some bounces. Generally here you saw that we broke this low, so we can remove this Fibonacci here, but we still have the macro Fibonacci. And you see, as I told you, always when a move finishes, you tend to correct to at least the 0.382 Fib level, and that's what we perfectly did. And we also have this support line. We broke this one and the second one also, but this one so far is holding up. So we moved into the 382, so in the expected correction area, and also to this support line. Had a strong bounce up back to the level here where we broke down, so maybe it's also just move down, retest, and then going down here to the next daily cycle low time frame. It could be a higher low here on the support line, it could also be a lower low to this next level, maybe the 0.5, because we also fell down here quite deeply, and most of the time doesn't have to happen. If you go over the half point of the level, you tend to get the next one, but we will see. We have to keep this in mind. Interest announcement of the Fed on the 7th, coinciding with this. So yeah, let's see what happens. Keep this time frame in mind, and also of course we could also see a breakout. But yeah, we have this resistance line to check the price action and have to see what happens. Short term, I would say we can see, depending on the news, also at least some corrections to the upside. Let's get this here red, and I think maybe we can, if this is just a correction, just like the pattern here, we can see a move up to the 786. And then it's really interesting if we see that we can break 786 to the upside. That means it's likely that we get higher highs. If not, if we fail somewhere earlier, the 0.5 to 0.618 or 786, and then go down, it's likely that we just make a lower low, a lower high, and then go down to the next weekly cycle high. So that's generally for the stock market. One thing I sadly forgot in the last 2 or 3 videos was the idea of the VIX trade. I also forgot to trade it, sadly, because we talked about it here in this area, and the idea was that we maybe get a move down here to the trend line or to this trend line again, forcing a strong move up, and that's basically exactly what happened a bit earlier than in the video, but this video was also a month ago or something. But yeah, it's played out like the original idea, so it's nice to see that the idea was quite on point, but forgot actually to check the charts. And now, depending on how the market behaves, I think it's likely this one, if the market goes up, it's likely that we go back down again, and then if we form a lower high or a higher high, then we might have another high move up. So we can keep this in mind. So for Bitcoin, actually the interesting thing is that Bitcoin held up extremely well, despite the stock markets crashing hard. And we talked also about this level. We broke down this level first time here, but closed above. And I said it's really important to check the daily closes. And also the most important thing is for the weekly, the 30-day moving average on a weekly close. This would be the nail in the coffin for Bitcoin for the bull market. And so far we had a move down. We also broke this level also on the daily close, but it was a really slight close below. And as you can see, this liquidity zone that we marked for months already, we perfectly almost to the cent completely cleared this liquidity zone and then moved up. And actually here with this drop I was concerned and I was thinking about maybe selling some spot, but when I saw we perfectly cleared the liquidity zone and then bounced back up here, I was getting some hope that we can see a recovery. We got back up here to this level, back down in the zone, and then got a pump together with the markets, which is really good to see. So just a slight daily close below, but I think with this price action afterwards, also like a double bottom here in the zone and then a strong move up, it's looking really great for Bitcoin. And if we can get some bounces in the general market, I think we can get at least a strong move up for Bitcoin. We also here have the Fibonacci zones, and it was also in the time frame of the half cycle low. So basically here our Bitcoin cycles are 60 days and the half of the cycle is 30 days. So here with 27 or 29 days, it's a perfect half cycle low time frame. So it's actually looking really great, and we have this resistance line. If we can get daily closes above this, it's looking even better. So actually, depending on the market, of course, if you can chop around and go lower, then likely Bitcoin will also chop around in this area, maybe go up to this resistance and chop down here a little bit. But generally speaking, it's looking extremely strong, and I think with the market getting some relief at least to the 786 or to this trend line maybe, Bitcoin can also see some really nice bounces at least. And if we get some strong rate cuts or liquidity into the system, I think the stock market and Bitcoin could even get some major higher highs and a really nice blow off top. This would be also a perfect retail fake out move. And one thing that's interesting is this reminds me a lot to this ETF fake out from the price structure. So what happened is we got the ETF confirmation here, and then also this was also a failed daily and I think even a failed weekly cycle low. I don't have all the arrows, but structurally this one makes a lot of sense. If you look here, like we had a move up, then we failed the cycle low from before, then we chopped for a few weeks, like 1 week or 2 weeks before breaking out. I think I even let this here on the chart because it's a good idea. So maybe just like this, a little bit of chop, maybe grinding down with the market. If the market goes down into the 7th of May, so the FOMC meeting, maybe we can even mark this also. Yeah, it's also here in the time frame for the next cycle low. So maybe it's even something like, yeah, like this pattern, move down here, maybe a little move up, and then finding another low. So it's looking really great for Bitcoin, and also I think at least a bounce for the market. So for the stock market, at least temporary some relief for maybe going down lower, but for Bitcoin, looking great for more upside. Ethereum is looking, on the other hand, extremely bad in comparison to Bitcoin, but generally also. Another video ago we've talked about the idea that we have these lows and then the level which Ethereum goes to in the next bull market or bear market, and it always almost caught the next level, but this time here we fell through, so it's extremely weak. But I think even if Ethereum is going down long term, there should be at least some relief bounce. So if Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum should at least get a little bit of bounce. You see, this move down is quite insane for a bull market. So if Bitcoin moves up, I think also Ethereum can move up. But Ethereum is not the main focus here. The main focus is Bitcoin, XRP, and CRV, and also LinkedIn. And yeah, for XRP, I think for the last month we talked about this liquidity zone here, and we now perfectly went into it. And we also had a cycle low in the time frame that we normally have. I think it's 30 days for XRP. So perfect timing, also into the zone that was expected. And together with Bitcoin, a nice move up here. So it's looking really great. What we want to see is a few daily closes above here, above this resistance, or even weekly closes. And then if Bitcoin and the market can go up, then it's a really nice opportunity for some higher prices and even some new all-time highs for XRP. CRV looking also really nice. Here we talked about these liquidity zones, and also similarly we had a cycle low which also fits in the time frame, and we perfectly tested this liquidity zone. So this is the high. You can remove this. As you can see, just a little bit into it and then a nice move up. And this was, I think it's 33 days, and here this one was 26 days. I think normally it's around 25 days for a cycle low. So we got to move up, move down with Bitcoin into the cycle low. Can remove this and now have a really nice bounce up. And as you can see also here, I put the Fibonacci levels, and we moved down and found support at the 786. So it's really nice to always know your retracements and have the Fibonacci levels ready. And right now it's looking great together with XRP also. Tested this liquidity zone, went down, almost swept again through this one, found a low, and now I'm trying to break out here. So it's looking really great, and long term I told you this one is not overbought like other coins, also not that high like XRP or Solana, but we have great opportunity. If we can get a few more months of strength, then we can maybe see even the all-time highs, and that would be a 1000% increase from here, and not even from the lows, from the price at the moment. So yeah, let's see what we can get, but it's looking really good. If you zoom out, you see move up, back test to this liquidity zone, to this area, and now move up again. So looking perfect. For Chainlink, we also found a low with the market. It's also in the time frame. I think Chainlink has 80-day cycles. This cycle low is on the 84th day, so it fits into the cycle time frame. What I don't really like to see is that we broke down the 786 here, the yellow support line, and at the moment it looks like we broke down also this support line, breakdown, retest, and then could be resumption to the downside. But together with the market, if we can see some bounces, I think we can also get some strength in Chainlink. So for one of the most interesting things at the end here is gold and silver. And in the last video 1 week ago, I talked to you about this idea that we maybe see a double top, a bit of a lower high, and then a move down. I think I used Fib levels also, and yeah, it basically happened really similarly. We got a move higher, which I didn't expect that much strength, into this target zone I have since years. So really just as expected, and then we fell down into our cycle low time frame that I put in last video, and I also just perfectly on the on the line I drew in the last video. So although it went higher, the general idea worked out perfectly, and then here you can see why the cycle time frames are such a cheat code. If you have a general idea when you can expect lows, and also combine this with the Fibonacci retracement levels, then yeah, it's a really nice combination. And you see it went down in the cycle low time frame and now a really strong move up. So yeah, one thing to keep in mind though is that this one is the last of the daily cycles in the weekly cycle. So 1, 2, 3, and this is the fourth one. So the theory would say that we now have a left translation before going down into the weekly cycle low, which is this one here. So I marked this actually. This one is the mid-level of the cycle. So we have 25 days usually. So here 13 days or 12 and a half. So it's likely to get a high somewhere here before the mid-level and then go down into the daily and weekly cycle low. And we don't know when the high will be, but if the high is in, we can adjust the Fibonacci level, and then I would expect that the weekly cycle low likely will get at least to the 382. So keep that in mind. Gold is really strong also with the tariffs and the macroeconomic news, but we could see a top soon and then a decline into a daily and weekly cycle low. But it's really nice to see that the system works out great, and also the last video, the idea worked out great. So finally, the last point is silver. Let's see, silver had an extreme plunge down with the market, also perfectly in the cycle low. So this area right here, I think the box was just like this because I didn't think it will get a move down like this. I thought in the last video we backtest this trend line here, but we fell all the way down here. But if you have this in mind, you take the stress out. If you have the cycle low in mind, we knew that here around 25 days we can expect the next low from silver. And together with gold, I think here I made the video and I said, yeah, we can maybe see a double top or lower high before going down into the cycle low. And I actually sold some positions here because I thought, yeah, lower high. We got a bit higher, but then all the way down. I actually made a mistake, to be honest, and bought in a little position back here on this trend line, but we fell down quite a lot more and now bounced up. So that's also a reminder that you should always wait for the full move and wait for at least one green candle where you have the closing price higher than the closing price in the day before. So you have a chance for a swing and see some strength. So blindly buying at support points is not the best idea. But yeah, if you have this the low time frames in mind and the levels in mind, that's really great. And yeah, together with gold, silver looks quite decent. I mean, the drop down was a lot, but we cleared these lows here, the liquidity down here, which is great to see for the long term. And I would expect together with gold maybe right now, because gold is so overextended, see a bit of chop, maybe go up here and then decline into the next daily and weekly cycle low, which should be 25 days from here. So let's mark this here and put in the arrow, and then we have another time frame to look at, 1 day less, like this. So it's all depending on gold and the markets, of course, but we have a time frame to keep in mind for buys, and depending on what gold does, if we can see a little bit of more upside before we go down, maybe we see something like this where we get move up and then a decline, maybe even backtest this trend line again before ultimately going up way more for gold and silver. Alright, that's it for this video. It was quite long, but a lot of stuff going on and I don't know when I can make the next video. So I hope you are updated so far. I hope you have a great rest of your week and see you hopefully soon. I will try to make the next one if something interesting happens. Alright then, have a great time. Bye bye.